Hi, welcome back everyone. Pleased to have you. So here we are. I'm back in the same spot I was last video. So this video is going to be about the tools and various things, miscellaneous things that I use quite a lot. And if you're kind of new to the hobby, you might want to pick up some of these if you don't have them. Let me know your favorite tools and things to use for modeling, no matter what it is in this hobby. In the comments, it'd be very much appreciated. Maybe I want to get something that I don't have. So I got to make do sometimes with things that people have, but I don't, and so I find other alternatives so that'll happen too. But I want to take you to the workbench, show you a bunch of stuff that I use for structure building, stuff I use for working on rolling stock, locomotives, stuff I use for scenery products, just all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to show you what I got on hand and what I use. I'm not going to go through every single thing, so it would be a 4 or 5 hour video, but at least the basics of it. So this is more geared toward people that are kind of newer in the hobby and they might not have some of these things, and I think they probably should, at least a good portion of them. Anyways, but before we get started, going back to the last video. Now, it was the Scenery Summer Part 4, I think it was. So I got a comment, and it kind of threw me off. The comment went something like, how about something about adding I could add a helix and a second level. And then it was just a suggestion, and then or immediately afterwards was I was taken aback or something to that effect by the mouse I saw. So I'm like, mouse? What mouse? Like I responded, and I haven't gotten a response back. So if you're the guy that said that, let me know where in the video you saw a mouse, because that's not cool if that's happened. But since you were talking about a helix and a second level, and this layout is about 53 inches high, a second level would be up here somewhere, and it's kind of not feasible. So I'm thinking maybe you were responding or wanted to respond to somebody else's video, and you saw a mouse there, or maybe there was a mouse running around here. It's not impossible. There's been a couple over the years. In 5 years I own this house, so in the basement, and that's all been in my workshop way over there, never anywhere else. I've caught a couple, like 2 or 3 over 5 years, especially in the winter. You know, it's a basement, like they can get in, crack in the foundation, find a little tiny hole and get in somewhere. So I mean, it's not impossible. I don't see any, there's not like mouse droppings or any sign of mice anywhere here. I don't have any in the workshop at the moment. I do have a little poison trap sitting over there. It's been there for a few months and it hasn't caught a mouse yet. So I don't know. I just leave one in there just in case. So, but if anybody else saw a mouse, let me know where it was in that video, like about what time, in the beginning, middle, end, somewhere, because I reviewed it and I didn't see a mouse. Okay, that's enough mouse talk. Could happen. Now, this basement is the house is about 1959 rancher, just a normal brick ranch house, billions of them over the country. But there's an addition that's about the size of the original part of the house that was put on in probably the 90s. We're standing under an addition, or the addition. So there's like a deck and a great room. It was added onto the back, and another bedroom, another bathroom. So all that's over there and that way and back here. That's all newer stuff. So I'd never seen a mouse here. The only part has been in the old one, in the old section where it's old foundation probably. Okay, whatever. Anyway, tools. So let's get to it. I'm going to take you over to the workbench, show you what I got going on with a bunch of tools, and see what you think. So appreciate you coming along. And let me stop this thing here and let's get going. So I guess I'll start off by the stuff I use for wood building kits, wood structures. And some of this stuff is used for other things as well. The very first most important thing is a number 11 blade. Also, a lot of extra blades are always helpful to have around. You can buy them in bulk on Amazon as opposed to going to like a craft store or something and buying 5 at a time. I have a whole heap load that I bought for, I don't know, $8-10, something, piles of them. The most important thing, all right, in my opinion, next will be scale ruler. Model Railroad reference rule. I'm not sure where you can get these. I've had them forever, and so if I ever lost it, I would have to go search myself as to where to buy one. Probably Micromark. Anyways, there's rulers for scale HO, for S. Then if you flip her over, N scale. And turn it around there we have O scale. So that about covers the major scales all in one little device. When I first started working with wood and I had to measure things, sometimes I would get in a hurry and forget that this end here is not 0. 0 is way over here. So once in a while, I would get in a hurry and screw something up and have it too long or too short because I was measuring from the edge instead of where the 0 is. So just a helpful little hint. All right, what else do we need? Sanding materials. When you cut off pieces of laser cut wood off sprues, like say here's a piece, a lot of times there's a little nub left over on the edge and you want to get that off, so a nice sanding stick is helpful for that, and or sandpaper of various grits. This is 120. I have some 320 here, so stuff like that's very helpful. There's also an emery board. Okay, what's next? Tweezers, of course, for all the small detail parts you want to hang on to. I have several different ones. I have more than this, but I just grabbed these 3 as an example. Also, and I forget what blade this is, but it's a chisel blade. I forget what number. X-Acto as well. These are good for lifting boards on clapboard. If you want to get in there and gouge a little bit into the wood and pry it up some, this is good for that. As well as a razor blade. That's also good for cutting the parts out of the carrier sheets. For cutting little small pieces of wood, it's perfect. It's great. Next thing you could use, never a necessity, but this is a pounce wheel. If you see here, this is what I sometimes use to add nail holes to wood. So I put it on a straight edge and just roll it along the wood, and it'll put little indentations in there that can be simulated for nail holes. Another thing to rough up wood. Here's a wire brush. If you want to really beat down your wood, make it look old, add some more texture to it. There you go. You can do almost the same thing with a razor saw. This is a cheap Atlas one. In fact, I need a new one of these. The blades are about shot in it. But this will also rough up wood very well just by scraping and dragging it across. I also use it on plastic. We'll get into plastic, but I also use it for that, to add wood grain into plastic that's supposed to look like wood. What else we need? Sometimes we need a square. I have a smaller one, and I don't know where it is, so I just grabbed this bigger one. But keep walls aligned. Some things that also help do that are rubber bands. I always keep some of those around. Hold walls and roofs and stuff on while the glue dries. Another thing is weights. This is just an old sprocket. Pretty heavy thing. If you put bracing on wood, and you want to weight it down, or if you have a real thin piece that may be stained and you want to keep it perfectly flat, these things are good. These are called 1, 2, 3 blocks. I also ordered these off Amazon somewhere. They also can be used to keep things square as well. For example, if you want to put a wall section here and then another one there to join the corner, it's helpful. You've got some good weight for it. I think they're some kind of machining tool, actually, for real life. Another thing we need, toothpicks. I use that for you spreading glue, the rounder ones, not the flat ones. Usually put a dollop of glue on a Post-it note and use my toothpick to scoop some up and run it along the side of the wood where I'm going to join two pieces together. All right, what else we need? Assortments of brushes. I have a billion brushes. All kinds, if you can see. Lots of different brushes you need. When I get into brushing in paints, that's for paints, glues, and stains and things like that. That's for a different video, maybe someday down the road. I do keep good brushes in a cleaned and in a drawer here that I don't want to get messed up. These ones that I really don't care if they get messed up. They can be used for weathering and all kinds of stuff like that. So, I think that's about it for building wood structures. I mean, you don't need a lot of stuff. Don't need a lot and spend a lot of money trying to get yourself enough equipment to build a wooden structure. And again, some of this stuff we can use in other applications as well, like that razor saw for plastic. Okay, so let me put this stuff. Oh, one thing, a brush cleaner. Definitely need a brush cleaner. This is the Masters brush cleaner and preserver. It's basically a soap. It'll clean out oil paints, acrylic paints, any kind of paints. If I can get the lid off, I'd show it to you, but it's hard one-handed. But it's basically just a hard soap. Get your brush wet. Get a little bit of this stuff on there, rub it into the bristles with your fingers, and get it down in there, and then clean it out in clean water again, and you put your brush right back to new. Okay, all right, on to the next. Plastic kits. A lot of the same stuff we use for the wood kits. Square, of course, keep walls square. File off little bits of plastic on the nubs, on the sprues. Sanding stick works for that. Nippers, taking pieces off of the sprue. Of course, your scale ruler. Of course, your number 11 blade. It's good for cleaning up flash. If you've ever done plastic kits before, as an example, window openings and things like that are known to have flash still on them when you get them out of the kit, and you want to clear that stuff out. Number 11 blade works good for that. Of course, your tweezers again, and the razor saw, like I mentioned, for adding wood grain to plastic, and your old standard razor blade. So really not a lot of difference. The only thing, took away a couple things. The only thing I added was the nippers to get them off the sprue. So there we go for that. Plastic structures. Next up, you'll see in a second. Working on freight cars and things. So I got a bunch of stuff. One thing is this postage scale. I think I might have shown this in a video already, but depending on the length of your car, there's a certain recommended weight from the NMRA. In fact, if I step back here, I have my little cheat sheet. Oops, sorry, finger in there. So, the recommended weight for a piece of rolling stock is 1 ounce for the car, plus another ½ ounce per inch of length. So, as an example, this 41-foot hopper is 5 3/4 inches long. So that means its weight should be 3.75 ounces. Whoops. We gotta set this to 0. That would be helpful. And it is I said 3.75, it's 3.8. Close enough. To add weight, I used to use all kinds of stuff, nuts and bolts and whatever else I could find. But these are wheel weights. You can cut them apart. They're sticky, so they can stick to the inside of a car or underneath or wherever you want to put them. They just peel off. So here's 4 of them. There are 1/4 ounce each. So automotive supply places will have it. Amazon, of course. Just search for wheel weights. 1/4 ounces. And you can add weight to your most of these, especially these blue box Atherns and things like that, are underweight to begin with, and you always have to add weight. All right, that's enough about weight. Next thing you know is this handy dandy coupler height gauge. Looks like that. This screw, you can take that off and put your desired type of coupler in there. If you want ones that are smaller or using a different kind than this one. This is a KD number 5, it looks like. So anyway, it sits right on the rail. And you're going to have to excuse my hand while I put this car on the track here. This is my little just piece of track glued to this thing. So it should match up perfectly like so. And that is pretty darn close. Maybe just an weensy bit high on the car, but barely even noticeable. So it'll be fine. Now with these type of cars, raising and lowering the coupler is easy just by taking the wheel off and adding a washer underneath it, a little fiber washer. So that's another thing you should have on hand. I have some right in there. Well, there's other assorted washers, but those little ones, what I use, they are from KD. These are from KD, number 208, red insulating fiber washers. They're great for raising the coupler height. Now, if you gotta lower it, that's a whole nother situation, but we don't need to get into that. What else do I keep around here? Keep a pair of pliers in here. Keep a miniature Phillips head, always handy. Some miniature flatheads of different sizes and Phillips of different sizes. Mini screwdrivers, great. Metal wheels. I change out all my rolling stock. Well, I think most of it is changed out. There might be a couple that still have plastic wheels on them, but if I get a car that has plastic wheels, they come off and metal ones are put on. I usually have 2 different sizes. These are the 33-inch. They're not blackened. These are blackened. And those are usually for freight. And then these bigger ones here, 36-inch, are for passenger cars, mostly. And always have an assortment of little tiny screws of different sizes and stuff. Helpful. Couplers. These are all KDs in here. Those little brass holders. And then the coupler box coverings. I have extra ones in there too. Of those kind, and then some of these kinds. So that's basically all I need. What's the other thing we need? This is very important. Everybody should have one. Just like your HO scale, metal scale ruler, or N scale, whatever you model in. You need one of these. Standards gauge. This is for HO. I guess they make one for N as well. Probably O, G. I don't know. This HO scale Mark IV coupler height is the same thing. Let me get around here. That should fit right in there like that. Show that the coupler's at the right height. This is good for your wheels. Make sure that they are of the right width. And sorry, my nose is acting up today. I got some kind of cold thing going on, I think. Yeah. Okay, so that's really about all I use for that. The rest of the things on here are for track, like the flangeways on your turnouts and the points on your turnouts. Flangeways on turnouts. Flangeways on all your track. Points for your turnout. Sorry, this thing's old and a little discolored, so. That's for your track. For your flanges. I'm trying to do this looking through the screen. Ain't that great, but that's for your track anyhow. They should fit right in there if something's off. A lot of my track on my layout is recycled from other layouts, so it's old. And occasionally, you know, in the deconstruction phase of old layouts, some of it can get a little wonky. So it's always good to check it and fix any issues. All right, well, I guess that's it with for rolling stock stuff. For wiring, here's some helpful things. Soldering iron. Necessity. This is a nice one. It's a Weller. Not too expensive. Not super top of the line, but it does the job. I mean, you can set your temperature as well on it. So that's very cool. You need this copper sponge thing to clean your tips. Always got to have some soldering paste. I don't have any right handy here, but some solder. That would be helpful. Of different thicknesses depending on what you're doing. I've never gone and soldered stuff on the inside of a locomotive, so I'm sure I don't have the right kind of solder for that. But just soldering plain wires together or soldering track and stuff, yeah, that's all I need. Zip ties are handy, these little mini ones. They're good if you want to bundle some wires together under your layout so you don't have a huge, disgusting mess. And these are great for joining wires or little suitcase connectors. They're pretty cheap as well. Get them on Amazon, and I forget what the brand name is, but basically you put your 2 wires in the hole, and then take with a pair of pliers, you push down on this little blade thing, and that'll cut into both wires, kind of fuse them together. It'll conduct electricity from both wires into here, and this is just a little lid. You have a pair of pliers, you squeeze that down, and it'll lock it into place. It's very easy and very handy, and I love them. So that is really all I use for wiring. My wiring is very simplistic on the layout. I don't have reverse loops and at this point a turntable and all kind of sections I want to turn on and off and things like that. So I don't need much more specialty equipment other than that to wire my layout. And let's get on to some scenery tools. certain things I always want to have on hand are these rubber rock molds for casting rocks into plaster. There's a bunch of big ones, different ones, and a lot of little ones, and also a rubber bowl, which is great for mixing. I didn't clean it the last time I used it, but it cleans out super easy and right back to its original lovely blackness. Alright, things I also use. These are artist spatulas, I guess you call them. I have another one too, a different size, but you can buy these in a set. They have different sizes and shapes. It's used great for sculpt-a-mold, for sculpting plaster, or paper mache, or celluclay, or whatever the heck it is you want to use for your base. Scenery ground stuff. It really helps spread it out nicely, easily, and not messy. The thing I use is a foam brush. It's great for spreading ballast out between the ties. This is a 1-inch brush. If I had ballast on here, just go in like that. Brush it right off the tops of the ties. You can also use it to help form on the sides. So foam brushes are great for that. The number 11 blade, here it is. Use that for a million different things. I can't even begin to mention them all. Scissors are good for cutting down clumps of bushes and things like that. Before you put them on the layout, you want to make them different sizes. Scissors, handy. Little measuring spoons, any kind of spoons that you can find. These are great for spreading, well, for putting ballast on, for putting ground cover on, ground covered grasses and things like that, your ground foams. Yeah. Always have an awl around. That's great for poking a hole in your scenery base so you can plant a tree or a fence post. Another scissor. Strainer is great for straining out different grades of rocks and things. If you do your own dirt like I do, because I dig it out of the backyard and use it on my layout, and I have a whole video on how I prepared real dirt for use on your layout. Further back down, you can go check it out. But strainers are handy dandy. Hot glue gun. It's great for plaster rocks, gluing them on, and all kind of other things. Static grass applicator. This is the Woodland Scenic variety. You've probably seen it on my videos, me using it, if you've been following me for a little while. So this one works extremely great. I really like it. Static grass is awesome. And sometimes I use static grass with my other tools, which is my 2 fingers, by just pinching a little bit and sticking it into a dab of glue. You can do that too. But this is great for making grass tufts. I use parchment paper and glue to make all kind of different size shapes of tufts of grass with this static grass applicator. Okay, the other thing, this is in this box. This is used for foam. A lot of people use extruded styrofoam. I do a little bit. I don't use it as my whole base for the layout like a lot of people do, but I do use it to build up landforms and stuff. So here's the handle and a plug, and you plug it in. Then it has different attachments you can use, such as this one, to help form and shape chunks of foam. There's another one, you can poke holes in your foam, hot holes. And a smaller one. And this, you can put nice gouges into your foam. So, if you have any kind of foam, this is a very handy dandy little thing to have on hand, and it is I don't even know who makes this one. Does it even say it on the box? Sorry. I don't know who makes it. I did at one point. 4-in-1 hot wire foam cutter kit. And that isn't very expensive either, if I remember right. So, all right. Let me stop this here, and I'll be right back with you. So, if you're new to the hobby, I hope that helped you out a little bit, give you some ideas of stuff you might want to have on hand if you don't. I felt kind of rushed when I was doing this. I'm under the weather, so I apologize. I may not have been as descriptive as I could have been with some of those tools and odds and ends. So, if you have any questions about anything, maybe one of the tools that I didn't really answer, leave me a message in the comments. I will respond. I respond to all my comments. And I think that's about it, really. I haven't got a lot done down here since the last video. The weather broke, humidity dropped, got really nice out. I was away for a couple days, and I was doing a lot of stuff outside. So, not much got done, or really anything got done down here. So, but I did need to get a video out, so I figured, oh, what the heck, I'll talk about some of those model railroading tools. So, there we go. Alrighty, again, like if you use a certain thing for something and it's different than what I have and you think it will work better, let me know that too. Appreciate it. So hit subscribe. I promise I'll get better. I don't know what the next video will be yet. I got to get some work done down here because I'm champing at the bit to get back at it. And that's it. So thank you to all my subscribers. You guys are awesome. We're like 1,015 or so. Amazing. Just, that blows me away. So I do appreciate it. Appreciate you. Remember, hit the like button. All right. Leave me a comment. See ya. Thanks. Bye. I'm mouse hunting. Mouse hunting. Don't see a mouse. Hopefully he's not nesting in my tunnel portal under there. I don't know. I somehow think there wasn't a mouse, but whatever. If you see one, let me know. Bye.